both now reporting that Michael Jackson has died.
This was Michael Jackson under the influence of an intoxicant, and Conrad Murray, still knowing these things, continued to give him these drugs and these intoxicants.
Michael Jackson, the king of pop, unexpectedly died.
Michael Jackson wasn't merely the king of pop, he was a groundbreaking force who reshaped music, dance, and entertainment. Yet beyond the spotlight, his life was marked by struggles, reinvention, and extraordinary achievements.
Use that as the main foundation for the track and build.
From his early days as a child prodigy to his lasting influence as a global sensation and the enduring enigma of his sealed tomb, this is the story of Michael Jackson, the artist who forever transformed the music industry. Michael Jackson's journey began in a modest two-bedroom home in Gary, Indiana. The 8th of 10 children, his early years were anything but carefree. His father, Joe Jackson, enforced strict discipline and had high expectations for his children, often resorting to physical punishment. Michael later admitted that he lived in constant fear of his father's belt. Yet despite these challenges, his immense talent was undeniable. By the age of 5, he joined his older brothers in a group that would later become the Jackson 5. His mother, Catherine, recognized his musical gift and supported his passion, even as she worked long hours at Sears to help provide for the family. Heartache struck early when Michael's infant brother, Brandon, passed away shortly after birth. Despite this loss, the Jacksons pushed forward. By 1965, Michael had stepped into the role of lead singer for the Jackson 5, mesmerizing audiences with his powerful voice and dynamic dance moves at local talent competitions. The turning point for the Jackson 5 came in 1967, when they triumphed at an amateur night contest at the legendary Apollo Theater in Harlem. Their victory caught the attention of Motown Records, and by 1969, with the assistance of Diana Ross, they secured a record deal. Their debut single, I Want You Back, quickly soared to the top of the Billboard Hot 100, launching the group into instant fame. At just 11 years old, Michael stood out as the undeniable star, captivating audiences with his extraordinary stage presence, vocal versatility, and magnetic charm. Chart-topping hits like ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There solidified the Jackson 5 as one of the biggest acts of the 1970s. But for Michael, this success was only the beginning. A solo career was on the horizon, one that would take him to unprecedented heights and challenge him in ways he had never imagined. The struggles of his youth had instilled in him an unshakable drive, a force that would propel him to become the king of pop and revolutionize the music industry. At just 13, Michael Jackson embarked on a solo career that would leave an indelible mark on music history. His debut solo single, Got to Be There, released in 1971, highlighted his exceptional vocal ability and emotional depth. However, it was his 5th solo album, Off the Wall, released in 1979, that truly catapulted him into superstardom. A collaboration with legendary producer Quincy Jones, the album blended pop, funk, soul, and disco in a way that was both innovative and timeless. Its lead single, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, featuring Michael's signature falsetto and an irresistibly danceable groove, became an instant sensation. The song earned him his first Grammy Award and helped propel the album to global success, selling over 20 million copies worldwide. Michael, however, was never one to settle for past achievements. In 1982, he released Thriller, an album that would go on to become the best-selling of all time, with an estimated 66 million copies sold. Its impact extended far beyond commercial success. It reshaped pop culture itself. Michael's music videos for Billie Jean and Beat It were cinematic experiences, complete with groundbreaking choreography and innovative special effects, but it was the Thriller video that truly changed the game. This 14-minute horror-inspired short film, directed by John Landis, featured Michael transforming into both a werewolf and a zombie, all while delivering mesmerizing dance sequences. The video revolutionized the industry, setting a new standard for what music videos could be. The album's success was unprecedented. It spent an astonishing 37 weeks atop the Billboard 200 chart and produced 7 top 10 hits. At the 1984 Grammy Awards, Thriller made history by winning a record-breaking 8 awards, including Album of the Year. Michael's live performances were just as legendary. When he debuted the moonwalk during the Motown 25th anniversary special in 1983, it instantly became one of the most iconic dance moves in history. The following year, he embarked on the Victory Tour with his brothers, a tour that became one of the highest grossing of the decade. As Michael Jackson's career reached unparalleled heights, his business instincts proved just as sharp as his musical talent. In 1985, he made one of the most strategic investments in music history. He acquired the publishing rights to the Beatles' song catalogue for $47.5 million, outmaneuvering even Paul McCartney. This purchase granted him control over some of the most iconic songs ever written, including Yesterday, Let It Be, and Hey Jude. Over the years, the catalogue generated millions in annual royalties, becoming an asset that only grew in value. But Michael's financial moves didn't stop there. In 1991, he secured a groundbreaking $65 million contract with Sony Music, the largest record deal ever at the time. The agreement included a $5 million advance for each of his next 6 albums, along with a $1 million bonus for every album that surpassed 5 million sales. Beyond music, Michael was also a trailblazer in brand endorsements. In 1983, he inked a $5 million deal with Pepsi, which included a series of commercials and sponsorship for the Victory Tour. The campaign was a major success, helping Pepsi increase its market share by 8%. With every passing year, Michael's financial empire expanded. In 1995, he merged his ATV music catalog with Sony Music Publishing, forming Sony ATV Music Publishing, one of the most powerful entities in the industry. The company controlled over 250,000 songs, including hits by legendary artists like Elvis Presley, Bob Dylan, and later, Taylor Swift. By the time of his passing in 2009, Michael Jackson's net worth was estimated at around $500 million, making him one of the richest musicians of all time. His impact on both music and business had redefined industry standards, ensuring that his legacy would endure for generations to come. As Michael Jackson reached the peak of his career, personal struggles and health issues emerged, threatening to overshadow his success. By the mid-1980s, speculation about his changing appearance dominated headlines. His skin, which had once been a warm brown, was becoming noticeably lighter, fueling rumors that he was deliberately bleaching it to alter his racial identity. However, the reality was far different. Michael had been diagnosed with vitiligo, a condition that causes the skin to lose its pigment. Additionally, he battled lupus, an autoimmune disorder that led to inflammation and skin sensitivity. To manage these conditions, he used medical treatments and cosmetics to even out his complexion, choices that would later become the focus of intense public scrutiny. Even as these controversies swirled, Michael remained committed to breaking records and making history. In 1985, he partnered with Lionel Richie to write "We Are the World," a charity single that became a cultural phenomenon. Featuring some of the biggest names in music, including Tina Turner, Paul Simon, and Stevie Wonder, the song raised over $63 million to combat famine in Africa. That same year, Michael reunited with his brothers for the Victory Tour, a massive undertaking that shattered records by grossing over $75 million. Beyond music, his generosity knew no bounds. He contributed millions to charities such as the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the United Negro College Fund. Yet as his career continued to reach new heights, so did the relentless media scrutiny. The public's fascination with his evolving appearance overshadowed his achievements, with tabloids fixating on rumors of excessive plastic surgery and alleged skin bleaching. In 1987, he released Bad, an album that delivered 5 consecutive #1 singles and sold over 35 million copies worldwide. However, instead of celebrating his musical innovation, much of the conversation focused on his increasingly eccentric persona and physical transformation, proving that fame came with an unparalleled level of public judgment. Despite relentless media scrutiny and constant speculation about his personal life, Michael Jackson's creative brilliance remained undiminished. While the public dissected his every move and appearance, he continued to redefine entertainment and push artistic boundaries. In 1986, he collaborated with acclaimed filmmakers George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola to produce Captain EO, a revolutionary 3D short film that blended his signature music and dance with groundbreaking visual effects. Premiering at Disney theme parks, the 17-minute production carried an extraordinary $30 million budget, equivalent to over $70 million today, a testament to both Michael's star power and his commitment to innovation. With dazzling special effects and an electrifying soundtrack that included Another Part of Me, the film mesmerized audiences, further cementing his reputation as an entertainment visionary. What secrets were hidden in Michael Jackson's tomb? Type 1T in the comments, then keep watching to find out why this story is making global headlines. Though tabloids remained fixated on his evolving appearance and private life, Michael refused to let the noise distract him from his artistry. In 1987, he returned with Bad, his first studio album in half a decade. This project introduced a sharper, more intense sound, with tracks like Smooth Criminal and Dirty Diana exploring themes of social issues and sexuality in a way he hadn't before. The album's accompanying short films were cinematic feats in their own right, including the Bad video directed by legendary filmmaker Martin Scorsese. Michael's influence on pop culture was undeniable. His distinctive dance moves, unique vocal style, and trend-setting fashion left an indelible mark on music and beyond. More than just an entertainer, he shattered racial barriers in the industry, paving the way for future black artists to achieve mainstream success. Beyond music, his impact extended to global activism. He used his platform to champion causes like AIDS awareness and children's welfare, proving that his legacy wasn't just about hits and accolades, but about making a lasting difference in the world. As Michael Jackson reached new artistic milestones, he found himself unable to escape the relentless media attention surrounding his personal life. Speculation about his appearance, eccentric habits, and close relationships with children often dominated headlines, overshadowing his musical achievements. This constant scrutiny became an inescapable burden, one that followed him throughout his career, yet it never deterred him from creating and inspiring. The late 1980s marked an era of extraordinary success for Michael. In 1987, he released Bad, the highly anticipated follow-up to Thriller. The album was a massive triumph, delivering 5 consecutive #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, including I Just Can't Stop Loving You Bad and Man in the Mirror. With over 35 million copies sold worldwide, Bad reinforced his dominance as the most celebrated artist of his generation. To promote the album, Michael launched his first solo global tour, the Bad World Tour. This ambitious production spanned 16 months, covering 123 shows across 15 countries. Grossing over $125 million, it became the most profitable tour ever by a solo artist at the time. His performances were nothing short of spectacular, blending intricate choreography, elaborate stage effects, and his signature charisma. Fans worldwide were mesmerized by his electrifying renditions of hit songs and unparalleled dance routines. In 1988, Michael gave audiences an unprecedented look into his world with the release of his autobiography, Moonwalk. The book provided rare insights into his personal experiences, artistic process, and the meticulous perfectionism that drove his music and performances. A commercial success, Moonwalk sold over 500,000 copies in its first year, further solidifying Michael's influence not just as a performer but as an artist with a profound creative vision. In 1988, Michael Jackson acquired a vast estate in Santa Barbara County, California, which he named Neverland Valley Ranch. Spanning 2,700 acres, the property featured an amusement park, a zoo, and a private movie theater, an extravagant retreat that reflected both his immense success and his well-known eccentricity. Neverland became more than just a home. It was a sanctuary where he could escape the pressures of fame and embrace the childlike imagination that fueled his artistry. Yet despite reaching the pinnacle of his career, Michael remained driven to push his boundaries. In 1989, he inked a historic $65 million deal with Sony Music, setting a new record for the highest contract ever signed by a recording artist. The agreement granted him a $5 million advance per album for his next 6 projects, along with a $1 million bonus for each record that surpassed 5 million sales. By the close of the 1980s, Michael Jackson had cemented himself as the most influential and beloved entertainer in the world. He had not only redefined the music industry, but had also become a cultural icon whose reach extended far beyond pop music. However, beneath the glitz and triumph, the foundations of his future challenges were being laid. The unrelenting scrutiny from the media, the pressure to continually surpass his own record-breaking success, and the grueling demands of his perfectionism would soon begin to take their toll. As his career continued to soar, Michael's personal life became increasingly complicated and controversial. In 1994, he stunned the world by marrying Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of rock and roll legend Elvis Presley. The announcement sparked widespread skepticism, with many questioning the authenticity of the relationship and speculating about Michael's motives. While his marriage was dissected by the press, he remained focused on his music and philanthropic work, determined to rise above the endless public scrutiny. In 1995, Michael Jackson released History Past, Present and Future, Book 1, a 2-disc album that combined his greatest hits with a collection of new songs. The album's lead single, Scream, a high-energy collaboration with his sister Janet Jackson, served as a direct rebuttal to the relentless media scrutiny he faced. Through history, Michael continued to push the limits of music production and visual storytelling. The album's accompanying short films were some of his most ambitious to date, with Scream featuring a futuristic, high-budget aesthetic and Earth song delivering a powerful environmental message. The latter became a massive hit worldwide, topping charts in multiple countries and shedding light on global issues such as deforestation and animal rights. Away from the spotlight, Michael's personal struggles persisted. His marriage to Lisa Marie Presley ended in divorce in 1996, with rumors swirling about infidelity and disagreements regarding children. Later that year, he married Debbie Rowe, a nurse he had met through his dermatologist. The couple had 2 children, Prince and Paris, before parting ways in 1999. During this period, Michael's evolving appearance and reclusive nature became a constant topic of media speculation. His increasingly pale complexion, altered facial features, and private lifestyle led to endless debates about his mental and physical well-being. Some critics accused him of deliberately distancing himself from his black identity, while others viewed his transformation as the painful result of deep-rooted insecurities and struggles with body image. Regardless of the narrative surrounding him, Michael continued to focus on his music and legacy, even as his personal life remained under intense public scrutiny. Despite the upheaval in his personal life, Michael Jackson's dedication to his craft never wavered. In 1997, he released Blood on the Dance Floor, History in the Mix, a remix album that reflected his continued evolution in electronic and dance music. The album's title track, an ominous and industrial-tinged tale of a deadly seductress, became an international hit, further reinforcing his status as a musical trailblazer. As the 20th century drew to a close, Michael remained one of the most famous and influential entertainers on the planet. Yet, while his artistry continued to captivate audiences, his personal life grew increasingly turbulent. The immense pressure of maintaining his legacy, coupled with relentless public scrutiny, began to take a visible toll. The struggles and victories of this era would ultimately set the stage for the final, heartbreaking chapter of his extraordinary life. As Michael Jackson's celebrity and influence soared, so did the legal and financial battles that came with it. In 1993, he faced one of the most devastating accusations of his career, when a 13-year-old boy, Jordan Chandler, alleged that Michael had sexually abused him. The claims sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, turning his life into a media spectacle. Although Michael vehemently denied the allegations, he eventually settled the civil lawsuit filed by the Chandler family, reportedly paying them $22 million. The decision to settle was divisive. Some saw it as an admission of guilt, while others believed it was a strategic move to avoid a prolonged and damaging trial. Regardless of public opinion, the scandal left an indelible mark on his career and reputation, reshaping how the world perceived the once untouchable king of pop. Does the 1993 scandal forever alter how Michael Jackson is remembered, regardless of the settlement? Comment, yes, if you believe it does. No, if you think his legacy can be viewed separately. Following the 1993 scandal, Michael Jackson's finances began to deteriorate. His extravagant lifestyle, maintaining Neverland Ranch, acquiring a vast art collection, and funding his many ventures placed a significant strain on his resources. To sustain his spending, he resorted to taking out large loans, causing his debts to spiral. In 1996, legal troubles added to his financial woes when former business associates Stephen Huffin and Arnold Klein sued him over a failed cosmetics partnership. Though the case was eventually settled out of court, it marked yet another setback for both his finances and reputation. Despite his growing financial burdens, Michael remained committed to humanitarian work. In 1992, he established the Heal the World Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting underprivileged children worldwide. Through this foundation, he contributed millions to hospitals, orphanages, and relief programs, making a tangible difference in countless lives. However, even his charitable efforts were not without controversy. In 2002, the Heal the World Foundation faced a lawsuit from a former executive director who alleged that Michael had misused funds for personal expenses. Though the lawsuit was ultimately dismissed, it highlighted the ongoing legal and financial entanglements that followed him throughout his career. As the 2000s unfolded, Michael's financial instability worsened. By 2005, he could no longer afford to maintain Neverland Ranch and was forced to shut it down. That same year, he faced his most grueling legal battle yet, an explosive child molestation trial that once again placed his private life under intense public scrutiny. After months in court, he was acquitted of all charges, but the damage to his reputation was profound. The relentless pressure, legal battles, and financial troubles marked a difficult period, setting the stage for the final years of his life. Even in the final stretch of his career, Michael Jackson's star power remained undiminished. In 2009, he announced his highly anticipated return to the stage with This Is It, a concert residency at London's O2 Arena. Initially planned as a 10-show run, overwhelming demand led to 50 sold-out performances, proving that his global fan base remained as devoted as ever. However, behind the scenes, Michael was struggling. The pressure to deliver an extraordinary spectacle weighed heavily on him, and at 50 years old, he pushed his body to its limits during grueling rehearsals. Those closest to him voiced concerns about his health, but his determination to reclaim his place at the top never wavered. Michael's long-awaited comeback was never realized. On June 25, 2009, just weeks before the first This Is It show, he was found unresponsive at his rented Los Angeles home. Despite frantic efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at the age of 50. The news sent shockwaves across the globe, leaving fans, fellow artists, and the entertainment industry in mourning. In the wake of his passing, Michael's influence only grew. His albums returned to the top of the charts, his music videos saw a resurgence in views, and a documentary, This Is It, was released to critical and commercial success, offering a glimpse into the incredible show that never was. Michael Jackson's impact on music and culture remains immeasurable. He broke racial barriers, redefined the music video format, and revolutionized live performances. His seamless fusion of pop, soul, and funk, combined with his groundbreaking dance moves and unmatched stage presence, shaped the future of entertainment. Generations of artists continue to draw inspiration from his artistry, ensuring that the King of Pop's legacy will endure forever. In the years following Michael Jackson's death, a peculiar rumor took hold, one that claimed the King of Pop had secretly converted to Islam before his passing. The speculation stemmed from various supposed clues, including reports of his interest in Islamic teachings and claims that he had been seen wearing traditional Muslim attire. Some even asserted that he had changed his name to Mikhail as part of this alleged transformation. His friendships with prominent Muslim figures such as Cat Stevens, now Yusuf Islam, were also cited as evidence of a deeper spiritual shift. However, those who knew Michael best were quick to refute these claims. His brother Jermaine Jackson, who had embraced Islam in 1989, publicly stated that Michael had never taken the Shahada, the declaration of faith required for conversion. Other family members and close associates reinforced this, insisting that while Michael was deeply spiritual and respected all religions, he remained a Christian until his death. Comment J if you're a fan of Michael Jackson and want to honor his unforgettable legacy. Despite these denials, the rumors persisted, gaining further traction in 2010 when his former bodyguard, Matt Fiddes, claimed that Michael had indeed converted to Islam in 2008. However, Fiddes' credibility was widely questioned, particularly after he made several sensational claims about Michael's personal life and alleged drug use. Like many aspects of Michael Jackson's life, the truth about his rumored religious conversion remains uncertain. For some, the speculation is just another example of the world's enduring fascination with his enigmatic persona, an attempt to unravel the mysteries surrounding a man who, even in death, continues to captivate and intrigue. At the heart of Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, a grand mausoleum stands as a solemn tribute to Michael Jackson's enduring legacy. On September 3, 2009, in an intimate ceremony attended by close family and friends, the King of Pop was laid to rest. His remains were placed in the Holly Terrace section of the Great Mausoleum, a highly secure area inaccessible to the public and media, except under rare and tightly controlled circumstances. Even in death, Michael remained shrouded in mystery. His unmarked crypt, partially visible through the tinted entrance of the mausoleum, became a place of quiet reverence. While fans were unable to approach it directly, security guards would occasionally place flowers left by admirers near the site. Yet for over a decade, his tomb remained sealed, leaving its contents hidden from the public's gaze. Those who hoped to visit were met with an impenetrable barrier, both literal and symbolic, that only deepened the air of secrecy surrounding his final resting place. In July 2010, security measures were heightened after acts of vandalism, as fans scrawled messages like "Keep the Dream Alive" and "Miss You, Sweet Angel" in permanent ink on the mausoleum walls. This incident only fueled the intrigue surrounding Michael's burial site. Over time, speculation grew. Was his crypt truly occupied? Had his body been cremated or secretly buried elsewhere? More outlandish theories even suggested he had staged his death and gone into hiding, with alleged sightings of his ghost at Neverland Ranch and other locations linked to his legacy. The restricted access and heavy security at his tomb only amplified these rumors, leading some to believe that the secrecy was intentional, perhaps an effort to preserve the myth and mystique that had always surrounded Michael Jackson. In life, he was an enigma. In death, the legend and the mystery endure as mausoleum gates. Yet, just as in the years before, the crypt remained sealed, its secrets locked away behind layers of security. Some speculated that the secrecy surrounding his burial was intentional, a way to preserve the legend, ensuring that the King of Pop remained an eternal mystery, even in death. Others viewed it as a poignant reflection of the struggles he endured in life, a final act of retreat by a man who had spent decades under relentless public scrutiny. Just as his life was filled with speculation and intrigue, his resting place remains an enigma, leaving the world to wonder what truly lies behind the tinted glass of Holly Terrace. In today's digital era, where social media dominates and celebrities cultivate their brands through platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, it's difficult to imagine an entertainer achieving worldwide superstardom without these tools. But in the early 1980s, as Michael Jackson's career reached unparalleled heights, the mechanisms for instant global reach simply didn't exist. There was no viral marketing, no internet fandom, and no real-time connection between artists and audiences. The World Wide Web was still a niche technology, used mostly by researchers and government agencies. Yet even without these modern avenues of exposure, Michael's influence extended to every corner of the globe. His music, image, and artistry crossed borders and cultures, proving that true greatness requires no algorithm, only undeniable talent, vision, and an artist who could redefine an era. Michael Jackson's meteoric rise was a testament not only to his extraordinary talent and charisma, but also to the strength of traditional media. Long before the age of viral content and digital marketing, he captivated the world through radio, television, and print. His groundbreaking music videos, miniature cinematic masterpieces, revolutionized the industry, setting new standards for visual storytelling. MTV became a key platform for showcasing his artistry, broadcasting his iconic videos to millions. His live performances were equally legendary, filled with dazzling choreography, elaborate stage effects, and an energy that electrified audiences. The press covered his every move, turning each concert into a cultural event. Meanwhile, his albums, which consistently dominated the charts and shattered sales records, were marketed through strategic campaigns and fueled by the most powerful tool of all, word of mouth. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Michael's success was its ability to transcend language and cultural boundaries. His music, built on infectious melodies and universal themes of love, unity, and self-expression, resonated with people from all walks of life. His dance style, which fused ballet, jazz, and street influences, became a global language of movement, instantly recognizable and endlessly imitated.
What are we fighting about, you know? I don't know.
For many years, fans of Bonanza have cherished Hoss Cartwright, the kind-hearted giant who brought both humor and warmth to the screen. However, the man behind the iconic role, Dan Blocker, led a life full of unexpected turns and hidden stories. Now, at the age of 66, one of Blocker's sons has come forward to confirm a long-held suspicion about his father, a revelation that could reshape everything fans thought they knew. Before diving into these surprising disclosures, it's important to first look at the events that led his son to reveal these long-kept secrets. The arrival of the 14-pound star. While little Joe may have captured hearts with his looks and charm, it was Hoss Cartwright, with his gentle nature, who truly won us over. With an unassuming demeanor, endless kindness, and a heart of gold, Hoss became more than just a character. He became a cherished figure who embodied both strength and warmth. Dan Blocker, born Bobby Dan Davis Blocker on December 10, 1928, in DeKalb, Texas, made a grand entrance into the world, weighing an impressive 14 pounds. This extraordinary birth marked the start of a life filled with remarkable moments. Raised in the small town of O'Donnell, Texas, Dan spent much of his childhood working in his family's grocery store, where he not only helped customers with their bags, but also absorbed the core values of small-town life that would shape his humble and grounded character. By the time he was 10, Dan was already working alongside adults, hauling grain and laboring in construction. His strength was extraordinary, and he quickly earned the nickname the Big Un from his neighbors. By the age of 12, he stood 6 feet tall and weighed 200 pounds. Though some local toughs attempted to challenge him, Dan never lost a fight. After graduating from high school, Dan went on to attend Texas Military Institute, where he showcased his talent on the football field. His athletic prowess earned him a football scholarship to Sul Ross State University. By this time, he had grown into an imposing figure, standing 6'4" and weighing 275 pounds, a presence that couldn't be ignored. It was during these college years that a new ambition began to take shape, though he hadn't yet realized it. When the college drama club needed help moving heavy props, they called on Dan, whose strength made him the ideal choice. What started as a simple task soon led to his first acting role in a production of Arsenic and Old Lace. The experience captivated him, and he quickly became enamored with the thrill of the stage. As a result, Dan switched his major from English to theatre. Despite receiving offers to play professional football, he chose to follow his newfound passion for acting. His dedication eventually took him to New York City, where he began his Broadway career. Over time, his hard work and talent earned him a role in a production of King Lear, marking a significant step in his path toward Hollywood. But, as often happens, an unexpected turn in his journey was just ahead. After completing college, Dan Blocker transitioned from studying textbooks to wearing military fatigues, enlisting in the U.S. Army to serve his country. This shift, however, was not without its challenges. At over 6'3" and weighing around 300 pounds, Blocker's towering size presented unique obstacles for the military. It took a full month just to find boots that could fit his enormous feet. Once properly outfitted, he found himself far from home, thrust into the heart of the Korean War. By Christmas 1951, he was stationed on the front lines near Cheowon, North Korea, with the 179th Infantry Regiment. As a combat infantry sergeant, Blocker's impressive strength and determination made him a formidable force in battle. Day in and day out, he and his fellow soldiers endured the brutal realities of war, facing freezing temperatures, sleepless nights, and the constant threat of enemy fire. For almost 7 months, Blocker fought through the horrors of trench warfare with explosions ringing in the air as he led his men through some of the fiercest combat the war had to offer. One night, amid the chaos and gunfire, Blocker saw a comrade trapped and unable to move. Without a second thought, he charged forward into the line of fire, risking his own life to pull the soldier to safety. Although wounded in the process, Blocker's bravery earned him the Purple Heart, a decoration he wore with quiet pride. The brutal clashes on Porkchop Hill were among the most intense of the Korean War, a place where survival itself was a hard-won achievement. Blocker and his regiment fought relentlessly on the front lines, holding on to every bit of land in a region where each hill and valley came at a steep cost. It was a grueling ordeal, and after months of unyielding combat, Blocker was finally evacuated, his body scarred but his resolve intact. He was sent to a hospital to recover from the physical and emotional toll of battle. When he eventually returned home, he carried the haunting memories of war's brutal realities with him. Despite fighting honorably, the experience had deeply altered him. Blocker became a vocal critic of war, particularly military interventions based on force. Having witnessed the destructive consequences of violence up close, he became a fervent advocate for peace, decrying the horrors of war and the devastating impact of napalm. Upon his return from the Korean War, Dan Blocker was determined to leave the battlefield behind and build a life focused on family and purpose. He married his college sweetheart, Dolphia Parker, and together they raised 4 children, creating a loving home that offered him stability after the chaos of war. Although acting wasn't part of his original plans, fate had something unexpected in store for the towering Texan. In pursuit of a doctorate, Blocker relocated to California and enrolled at UCLA. What did Dan Blocker's son really say about his legendary father? Type 1 in the comments, then keep watching to find out if your suspicions were correct. It didn't take long for Dan Blocker's towering stature and undeniable Southern charm to capture the attention of Hollywood casting directors. At the time, Westerns dominated television, and Blocker seemed perfectly suited for the genre. His commanding presence and rugged good looks made him a natural fit for the tough, larger-than-life roles that Westerns required. Before long, he was being offered small parts in popular series. His journey began with minor roles in Western shows like Gunsmoke and Colt .45, where he infused each character with a unique warmth and humor. Throughout the 1950s, Blocker gradually expanded his acting career, appearing in well-known shows like The Rifleman, Have Gun, Will Travel, and Maverick. While he occasionally ventured into film, television quickly became his true passion. In 1957, he received his first major opportunity, landing a notable role in The Restless Gun. His performance resonated with viewers and led to even more career prospects. Shortly after, he was cast in the recurring role of Tiny Boinger, a goofy and lovable ranch hand on Cimarron City. This character showcased his natural comedic timing and hinted at the charm that would eventually make him a household name. It wasn't long before Blocker's breakthrough moment arrived. He was cast as Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza, a role that would solidify his place in television history and catapult him to fame. Dan Blocker's career took a major turn when he was cast as Hoss Cartwright in the popular television series Bonanza. This role would not only define his career but also make him a beloved figure in homes across America. Portraying Hoss, the kind-hearted and towering son of the Cartwright family, Blocker became a staple on television. Hoss was a gentle giant, not the sharpest member of the Cartwright clan, but more than making up for it with his immense heart and sincere kindness. Audiences, particularly children, quickly grew fond of Hoss's genuine charm and unwavering loyalty to his loved ones. For Dan Blocker, Hoss was more than just a role. It was a reflection of his personal beliefs and values. Influenced by the words of 18th century Quaker missionary Stephen Grellet, who urged people to do all the good you can, Dan infused this philosophy into Hoss's character. It was this deep sense of justice and compassion, traits that came naturally to Dan, that made Hoss's kindness feel authentic and endeared him to viewers. While Hoss was often depicted as simple and innocent, Dan himself was a thoughtful and intelligent man. Holding a master's degree in theatre, he had a profound appreciation for literature and philosophy. His portrayal of Hoss combined tenderness with a strong protective instinct, mirroring his own experiences as a decorated Korean War veteran who understood both the harsh realities of war and the importance of peace. Though his imposing size made him a natural fit for the role of Hoss, it was his gentle spirit that truly brought the character to life. Just 2 years into his acting career, Dan Blocker became a central part of one of television's most legendary families. Off-screen, he developed a strong friendship with his co-stars, Lorne Greene and Michael Landon. The bond between the three went beyond their work on Bonanza. Dan even stood as the best man at Michael Landon's wedding to Lynn No, highlighting the close relationship they shared. While Bonanza kept him occupied, Dan also dabbled in film, appearing in movies such as Come Blow Your Horn and Lady in Cement, alongside Frank Sinatra. Despite his rising fame, Dan remained deeply connected to his roots in the small town of O'Donnell, Texas. The people there were incredibly proud of the quiet, thoughtful young man who had transformed into a beloved television star, bringing joy to millions. Dan Blocker's portrayal of Hoss Cartwright on Bonanza catapulted him to fame, but he never actively sought the spotlight. His gentle nature and imposing stature made him a beloved figure on American television, yet he was uncomfortable with the attention that came with his success. While acting was his true passion, the constant public attention was something he struggled to accept. He would have preferred to pursue his craft quietly, but his natural talent and the affection of his fans made anonymity impossible. Though Dan appreciated his supporters, the loss of privacy became overwhelming. His large frame made him easily recognizable, and even a simple outing with his family could turn into a frenzy as fans eagerly surrounded him. On one occasion, a vacation to the Yucatan, meant to be a peaceful getaway, quickly became a public spectacle when locals instantly recognized him and called out to Hoss Cartwright wherever he went. Unlike many in Hollywood, Blocker had little interest in staying in the public eye. In 1970, Dan Blocker and his family decided to leave the spotlight and embark on a journey to Switzerland, inspired by the picturesque Swiss lake country he had seen in National Geographic. Captivated by the tranquil beauty of Lakes Como, Maggiore and Lugano, they felt drawn to the peaceful surroundings. For Blocker, the idea of living in such an idyllic place and escaping the constant demands of fame seemed like the perfect escape. It wasn't long before they made Switzerland their home. The family not only embraced the calm, but also discovered an exceptional international education for their children, who thrived in their new environment. However, rumors soon spread about the real reason behind the move. Some speculated that financial issues were behind the decision, but Blocker quickly shut down these rumors. He clarified that his success on Bonanza had made him financially comfortable. Instead, his desire for a life of privacy, far from the pressures of Hollywood, was the true motivation for relocating abroad. In Switzerland, Bonanza was broadcast in German, which created a welcome language barrier for Dan, allowing him to enjoy the tranquility of his new surroundings without the constant interruptions of recognition. The Swiss countryside provided the peace he had longed for, far removed from the spotlight. Despite his fame, Dan remained grounded and humble, always mindful of the privileges his career had granted him. He often expressed concern for those facing hardships, particularly underpaid teachers who he admired deeply. Reflecting on his own success, he once remarked with a touch of irony, "Let's face it, I sold out for money." Though he occasionally considered returning to teaching, his role as Hoss Cartwright made it nearly impossible to step away from the fame and public life that defined him. In the 1960s, the Bonanza cast and crew frequently traveled for filming, taking them to various locations, including the racially segregated southern United States. Despite the growing momentum of the civil rights movement, deep-seated prejudice still prevailed, with many hotels, restaurants, and theaters refusing service to African Americans. During one of these trips, the Bonanza team arrived at a hotel, only to be told that their African American members would not be allowed to stay due to the hotel's discriminatory policies. The cast and crew were shocked and appalled by this injustice, and Dan Blocker, known for his kindness, took a firm stand. Without hesitation, he declared that if the hotel would not accommodate everyone, then none of the cast or crew would stay there. Dan's statement wasn't a mere ultimatum, it was a firm commitment. In that moment, he demonstrated that his sense of justice extended beyond his on-screen roles. It was a core part of who he was. Dan Blocker's commitment to justice was as immense as his physical stature. Beneath his warm and gentle nature, he harbored a deep disdain for bullying and oppression. In a 1964 interview, he succinctly expressed his feelings. "I hate a bully worse than anything. I'm a big man, I don't like fights. But if I see a 180 lb guy beating on a 130 lb guy, you can damn bet I'll take care of the big guy in a hurry." Dan understood the power his size gave him, but he viewed it not as a means to intimidate, but as a responsibility to protect others. His bold stand against racial discrimination on Bonanza speaks volumes about his character, showing how one individual's actions could challenge injustice and change the status quo. Dan Blocker, a gentle giant with a heart for justice, he stood against bullies and injustice. To honor Dan Blocker's commitment to doing what's right, comment D below. Let's show our respect. In addition to his imposing frame and kind spirit, Dan Blocker was also famous for his legendary appetite, which matched his larger-than-life personality. Those close to him were often in awe of the sheer amount of food he could consume. Each day began with a breakfast that would overwhelm most people: a dozen eggs, 2 loaves of bread, and 2 quarts of milk. As the day went on, his meals would consist of mountains of meat, potatoes, and more bread, finishing off portions that would leave others astounded. Dan's appetite was, without a doubt, a subject of much admiration and astonishment. True to his Texan heritage, Dan Blocker had a deep fondness for hearty, home-style meals. One of his favorite indulgences was a whole roasted ham, which he could easily finish off by himself. While he wasn't particularly interested in fruits and vegetables, he had a well-known sweet tooth, especially for cakes, pies, and cookies. His passion for satisfying meals even influenced his business decisions. Dan became a co-owner of the Ponderosa Steakhouse chain, a tribute to the iconic Cartwright family ranch on Bonanza. The restaurant offered the kind of generous, filling fare that Dan adored, and as a co-owner, he enjoyed the benefit of free meals at any Ponderosa location. Even as Dan enjoyed the perks of his fame, he was keenly aware that maintaining Hoss Cartwright's iconic image required some discipline. The pressures of Hollywood meant balancing his passion for food with the realities of show business. To stay in shape for his role, he would cycle through strict diets and rigorous exercise routines. However, the lure of his favorite dishes often proved too tempting to resist. His emotional connection to food, combined with the endless availability of meals on set, led to frequent fluctuations in his weight. By the later seasons of Bonanza, the constant ups and downs took a physical toll on his body, and he had to rely on padding to maintain Hoss's larger-than-life appearance on screen. Still, Dan's appetite remained legendary. The cast and crew marveled as he devoured meal after meal with unflagging enthusiasm. Off-camera, Dan's love for food continued to amaze those around him as he out-ate everyone in the room effortlessly, without a hint of slowing down. In the early 1970s, as the Vietnam War stirred political unrest in the United States, Dan Blocker made a major life decision. He and his family left the tension of American life behind, relocating to the peaceful, picturesque countryside of Switzerland, seeking solace away from the chaos. Even in his new home, however, Blocker's commitment to Bonanza remained firm. He frequently traveled back to the US to continue working on the show, determined to bring Hoss Cartwright to audiences who had grown to love him. But as the series neared its final seasons, Blocker's health began to decline. He was diagnosed with gallstones, a condition that typically requires surgery, and he underwent what was believed to be a routine procedure to remove his gallbladder. At first, the surgery appeared successful and his family was relieved, believing the worst was over. However, in an agonizing turn of events, Blocker suffered a fatal complication: a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot that tragically took his life. The news of his sudden passing sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, leaving his family, friends, and fans in deep grief. Blocker was remembered not only for his imposing physical presence and lovable on-screen persona, but for his genuine warmth, kindness, and the joy he brought to his role as Hoss. Tributes from co-stars and fans flooded in, honoring his legacy and the heart and humor he had shared through his iconic character. In the wake of Dan Blocker's untimely passing, a curious and bizarre story began to circulate, one that would captivate the public's imagination for years. Was Dan Blocker buried in a piano box? The tale seemed as larger than life as the man himself. Known for his imposing size, weighing over 300 pounds, rumors quickly spread that only a piano box could accommodate his massive frame. This narrative grew and evolved, blending truth with myth, and for some it seemed almost fitting for a star of Blocker's stature. However, the real story is much simpler. Dan Blocker was buried in a standard casket at Woodlawn Cemetery in Santa Monica, California. The piano box legend, though vivid and even somewhat comforting to those who admired him, is purely fictional. It arose from Blocker's unique presence and the affection people had for him, but it remains just a colorful myth without any basis in reality. The sudden death of Dan Blocker on May 13, 1972, left an irreplaceable void, not only for his family and friends, but also for the Bonanza cast, crew, and legions of fans. As Hoss Cartwright, Blocker had been the emotional core of the Cartwright family, offering warmth, humor, and a genuine kindness that made him beloved to viewers. His towering presence and compassionate spirit had left a lasting impact on the show, and his absence left a hole that no one could fill. With the final season of Bonanza on the horizon, the cast and crew faced the difficult challenge of moving forward without their heart and soul. Hoss was central to the show, and his loss posed a significant problem for the series. Several ideas were floated to address his departure, from dedicating an episode in his memory to gradually writing Hoss out of the storyline. Ultimately, the producers made the courageous decision to directly address Dan's death within the narrative. This allowed both the cast and the audience to mourn together, paying tribute to Blocker's life and giving fans a heartfelt goodbye to the character of Hoss Cartwright. After Dan Blocker's death, the responsibility of writing the first episode of Bonanza without him fell to Michael Landon, who played Little Joe. Landon opted for a subtle, poignant approach, allowing Hoss's absence to resonate through the silence and unspoken emotions between the Cartwright family members. The original script had centered on Hoss's romantic storyline, but in light of Blocker's passing, Landon rewrote it to reflect the deep grief of losing a loved one without explicitly mentioning Hoss's death. Landon believed that the power of silence could express the profound loss in a way words simply could not. On set, the absence of Dan was tangible. Filming that first episode without him was an emotional experience for the cast and crew, who found themselves sharing stories and memories of the man who had brought so much joy and warmth to their lives. The familiar Cartwright dining room, once filled with laughter and camaraderie, now held a somber, bittersweet atmosphere. Every corner of the set seemed to echo with Dan's presence, and although the production continued, the sense of loss was felt deeply in every scene. After Dan Blocker's death, Bonanza struggled to maintain its former appeal. The show, which had already seen a slow decline in viewership, began to lose its magic more rapidly. NBC, in an attempt to salvage the series, moved it from its prime Sunday night slot to a less favorable Tuesday night position, where it faced stiff competition from ABC's Movie of the Week, which offered popular films like Brian's Song and Ben-Hur. As a result, ratings continued to drop, and despite the cast's best efforts, recapturing the charm of the early seasons proved nearly impossible. In its final season, the show felt noticeably different without Hoss, whose heart and humor had been central to its appeal. Viewers began to drift away, and after 14 seasons, Bonanza was officially cancelled by NBC in 1973. This marked the end of a TV era, though Dan Blocker had anticipated this fate long before it happened. He had openly discussed the inevitable conclusion of the series, recognizing that its success couldn't last forever. With rare insight, he predicted that the sheer number of episodes and rising production costs would eventually make the show too much of a burden for the network to sustain. Dan's passing became a turning point in Bonanza's legacy, forever dividing it into two distinct periods, the years with Hoss and the years without him. Although the show remains a beloved classic, the void left by Blocker's absence was undeniable. Hoss had been the heart and soul of Bonanza, and without him, the warmth that had once defined the series was lost, leaving a sense of longing for what had once been. Growing up with Hoss Cartwright as his father, Dirk Blocker was profoundly influenced by Dan Blocker's towering presence and the lasting impact of his untimely death at the age of 43. This loss shaped not only Dirk's personal life but also his career path. While he followed in his father's footsteps into acting, Dirk was determined to pursue a life away from the intense fame that had surrounded Dan. Reflecting on his upbringing, Dirk acknowledged how witnessing his father's constant public attention had made him wary of stardom. He remembered how his father could never go anywhere without fans gathering around, eager to connect. For Dirk, the idea of being a character actor, someone who could perform without the overwhelming scrutiny of fame, held far more appeal. On May 13, 1972, tragedy struck when Dan Blocker, beloved for his warmth, humor, and immense talent, passed away unexpectedly following what was supposed to be a routine gallbladder surgery. A complication caused a pulmonary embolism and he died at Daniel Freeman Hospital in Inglewood. The suddenness of his death rocked Dirk to his core, leaving him to face a grief so profound that it drove him to immerse himself in work and daily life, seeking solace in the routines around him. Though he appeared outwardly composed, the loss of his father, who had been his greatest mentor and pillar of support, weighed heavily on him. As the years passed, Dirk gained a deeper understanding of his father's legacy. He came to recognize that Dan Blocker was much more than just a celebrated actor. He was a man of principle, passionate about justice, deeply committed to political causes, and known for his generosity, which left a lasting impact on many. Dirk found great inspiration in how his father lived his life, maintaining his sense of humor even in difficult times and staying true to his values despite the challenges he faced. In many ways, Michael Jackson was the blueprint for the modern global superstar. He reached audiences far beyond his native country, proving that music and artistry could unite people across nations. His unparalleled impact paved the way for future generations of artists who would later harness technology and social media to cultivate their own international followings. Yet even in the digital age, no artist has replicated his level of worldwide influence. His legacy remains unmatched. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Michael's life, don't forget to like and subscribe to iconicinside. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new story about the legends who shaped our world. What's your favorite Michael Jackson moment? Drop a comment below, we'd love to hear from you.